Welcome back to ISEE Reading Comprehension. Today, we'll be talking about supporting information questions. These are the questions where they'll ask most directly about information in the passage. They could start as the author describes, according to the passage, or the phrase blank refers to blank. So you're looking for information that's pretty explicitly stated in the passage. So how do you solve them? Well, you should first rephrase the question in your own words and then go and find the answer directly in the passage. Remember, when we're looking for an answer, we're always using this cover, find and guess, and then check strategy. But what should you do if you have to read the answers first? This could be a question like, the passage provides information to support which statement, or with which statement would the author be most likely to agree? So for these, you can't cover the answers and then guess because you have to read them. So if you have to read the answers first, you should still go back and find direct evidence in the passage to support your answer. Remember, there's never going to be an answer that doesn't have direct evidence in the passage to help support that. Let's try it. Both of the questions we'll look at here are on that Dorothea Lange photography passage that we read in the last one. So, according to the passage, Lange left her studio too. So remember, first we're going to rephrase the question. So I'll say, why did she leave her studio? Now I'll go back to the passage and look for the word studio so I can find this information directly. I see studio there, and then I see looking out her studio window one morning, which sounds like it might be about to the point where she's going to leave her studio. So I'll read on from there. Later, she described one particular event that occurred as she was looking out her studio window one morning. I watched an unemployed worker coming up the street. He came to the corner, stopped, and stood there a little while. What was he to do? Which way was he to go? The man's situation and indecision captured Lange's attention. She took her camera out into the street and began photographing people she saw. So if our question is why did she leave her studio, we can say she left her studio to go out onto the street and photograph the people she saw. Now I can go back to the question. So she left her studio to photograph the Depression. Now look at the answers and find the one that most closely aligns with our guess. Did you get A? Photograph people facing difficulties is the most similar because the Depression caused these difficulties and that initial person that made her leave her studio was someone who was really facing a difficulty. Let's look at the next one. The passage provides information to support which statement? So this is one of those questions where we can't take a guess before looking at the answers. We have to look at the answers first. So one strategy as you're doing this is to think about what you automatically know is true or false as you go through the answer choices so that you can narrow it down to the ones that you're going to look for in the passage. Looking through these answer choices, the only one that I can remember is absolutely false is C, because I remember it saying something that contradicted that. So I'll cross out C, the stock market crash caused Lange's family to lose all of their money and property. Now, I'll look for direct evidence to support other answer choices. So A, the Depression caused many problems for migrant workers. Now, I'm going to look at the passage and look for any information I can find about migrant workers. Do you see anything about migrants that we could zoom in on? There it is. Migrant Mother captures the despair and hardships of the migrants. Soon after this picture was published in San Francisco, aid was sent to the migrant camp. So this gives us direct evidence that the Depression caused many problems for migrant workers because they had to bring aid to those migrant workers. Now, we could just end there because we found direct evidence, but for the purpose of this video, let's go through some of the other options and make sure that we aren't missing anything. The Depression affected Californians more than people from other parts of the country. So let's look at the passage for the word California. I can't even find the word California mentioned in this passage. All I see is San Francisco, which it talks about her moving to, but doesn't have any mention of it being worse than other places. So I know that that is incorrect because I'm looking for direct evidence of each answer. And our last answer choice, D, is Lange asked the United States government to provide financial aid to photographers. So let's look at the passage for the part about aid. Because of her efforts, the government approved funding for food and camps to help victims of the Depression. So it wasn't about photographers at all. That will help us to confirm that A is our answer choice. Click Continue to try this type of question on your own.